Welcome to the Raw Blog. This is the video series where I offer instruction similar to what I offer my clients in our one-on-one sessions. It's totally unscripted, and from that place, that unscripted place, I provide to you information about the spiritual dynamics underlying how physical reality works. And it's not just physical reality, it's all the universe. So the information that you're receiving in this video, thank you for watching, by the way. Welcome to the channel. The information you're receiving in this video can radically transform your life experience. So let's just jump right into it. Today, I want to talk about why it's so important to be positive. Why is it? Ooh, I have a frog in my throat. One moment. Why is it that positivity unlocks manifesting power? How is that possible? I'm going to answer that question. And maybe after you hearing the answer, you'll lean more in the direction of being positive about everything in your life. A key component of manifesting effectively, especially those castles that you want to manifest. A castle is a really strong desire you have. A button, comparatively, is a small desire that you have that you typically don't have a lot of resistance about it because you believe it is possible. Castles bring more resistance because they lean more in the direction of what you might think is impossible. So in order to be really effective at manifesting castles, you have to push against nothing. Why do I say that? Well, I say that because positivity unlocks manifesting power. And why is that? The reason is because all that is purely positive, pure positive energy. Now, in every client session, when I first start out with new clients, I tell the following story. This story, the details of this story isn't necessarily accurate because I have to use English in order to communicate it, and all language has distortion inherent within it. But the point of the story is absolutely accurate. So you are getting the benefit of hearing something that I offer to brand new clients. This will be interesting. So, of course, everything that is has always been. That is the nature. That is a fundamental constant of the universe. It has never come into being and will never go out of being, even though science argues otherwise. The being that is all that is, the being that human beings use the word God to describe, although that is a huge distortion, that word. The being that is all that is represents, and here's the distortion, the origin point of all that is. It is the source from which everything is springing. Now, remember, this is a story I'm telling you that is the same story I tell my first-time clients. Long ago, remember, we're talking about eternity, and eternity with no beginning and no end. So I would have to say long for a very long time in order to approximate what the time frame that I'm talking about. But way back then, there was this being that is all that is. And at that time, this being wanted to express itself even more. Full self-expression is a core tenet. It's a fundamental constant of the universe, and therefore a fundamental reality for all existence, because all that is got that momentum going a long time ago. So this being wanted to know itself more. And so in order to do that, it projected out from itself aspects of itself. And as it did this, as these aspects of itself shot out from all that is, the being that is all that is. The being, this is not a human being, so we cannot anthropomorphize it. This being noticed something really interesting. Some of the aspects of all that is would continue to move out and expand into even more. And then other aspects of all that is that was projected out of it would return back into all that is. And even when those projections that spent a small amount of time outside of all that is came back, those elements that came back contributed more to the awareness of all that is. Meanwhile, those projections that continued onward, continually expanding, when they eventually returned to all that is, they also contributed more awareness to all that is. And so in this very initial state of wanting to express itself and know itself more, all that is came to the conclusion that no matter what happens with a projection of itself, it's going to be good, because when that projection of itself returns to itself, all that is becomes more. And as those projections of itself that continue to expand into more, that contributes to all that is becoming more. Now, this is a story. It's accurate, but the details are distortion. So there was never a time when all that is made this decision. It has always been this way. But I'm telling it as a story so that you can understand the point and the reason why positivity unlocks manifestation power. Because all that is, this being, perceived everything happening to its projections as good, over the eons of eternity, momentum began to ensue inside of all that is, the consciousness energy of all that is. Hopefully you understand momentum. Momentum is the force behind movement. Like a train, for example, a multi-ton train, when it has a lot of momentum, it's very difficult to slow that train down. A ship is another really good example. When a cargo ship has lots of mass and it's moving forward at full speed, slowing it down takes a while. There's momentum there. There's resistance to stopping the forward movement. So the same thing is happening here with all that is. All that is, way long time ago, decided or observed, it didn't decide, it observed that everything it projected outside of itself, whether it came back immediately or came back later, it always contributed to more, and more is good, more is pleasurable, more is joyful, understanding is clarity and empowerment. And so as it focused in this way, because it's all that is and is pure positive energy and is ultimate in its creative power, its focus on the goodness of this caused momentum to ensue. So now, let's flash forward to today. All that is has created all that we perceive and then some. And then in my first client session with new clients, I after telling this part of the story, I asked them, how do you think all that is, given what I just told you, is looking at what's happening on this planet? Now, most of the clients at this point will anthropomorphize all that is. And they will project, the client will project their own conclusions about what's going on this planet onto all that is. And so they'll say, all that is feeling disappointed, or all that is angry, or all that is sad or not happy. And that projection, that anthropomorphization, is a distortion, because all that is, because of the momentum it got started long ago, all that is cannot not see what's happening in physical reality as ultimately good, no matter how human beings are interpreting it. And that is why, now remember, all that is the origin of all that is. And so every element, every aspect, every object, every living being on this planet is a portion of all that is. It is these physical beings, these physical objects, physical matter are the projections that all that is projecting out of itself in order for it to understand itself more. And those projections include you and me. And so everything that is happening in all that is perceives as good, not just good, but joyfully expansive. Not just joyfully expansive, but ecstatically thrilling. And this is why positivity unlocks manifestation power, because when you are able to perceive in the same way that all that is does what's going on in your life experience, all that is perceiving your life experience. It can see every one of our life experience, and it sees it as though it is the only game in town. So when it perceives what's going on in your life, it perceives what's going on in your life as ultimately positive and thrilling and exciting and joyful and contributing to all that is. It being all that is ultimately excited and thrilled about your life trajectory. And so when you are able to see your life experience in the way that all that is sees it, then you are tuned in, as Abraham likes to say, you are tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to the pure positive consciousness of all that is, which is the source of all that is, which then allows you to create from that powerful source. That perspective also allows you to soothe resistance. I'm going to do a raw blog in a couple of weeks on the nature of resistance. Resistance is positive. It's very good, just like everything else in all that is. And one of the ways resistance occurs is by not being in alignment with the perspective all that is has about your life trajectory. All that is constantly providing you with guidance. Now, let me get a little more specific about this. You are a projection of all that is. There is a portion of all that is you, because you're a projection. You are too big to fit in a human body as pure positive consciousness. And so, when you come into a physical body, the vast majority of you remains in non-physical, directly at one with all that is. So you are all that is. That's why on my website I say we are gods in human form. And so that part of you that does not come into your physical reality, which is all that is, it's you. All that is not separate. It is not outside of you. It is you. When you come into your physical body and the larger portion of you remains in non-physical, you can see your life trajectory from the bigger picture. You have a bird's eye view of all the thoughts and beliefs you thought or believed, all the decisions you have, are, and will make, and how all those decisions play together to create your life trajectory. And that aspect of you in non-physical, I call it your broader perspective, is constantly communicating you, guiding you to actions that when you take those actions, you will not make what you want to happen. When you take those actions, you will line up with the already unfolding, the effortless unfolding of that which you want to happen. And when you take that action, you end up being the final cooperative component that is there to witness the unfolding. So if you're following this, you can see how positivity unlocks manifestation power. By being positive about your life experience and everything else in physical reality, you align yourself with your broader perspective. You begin to see life through the eyes of Source. And when you are able to see that way, you are soothing the resistance that being human puts on your path. Because when you're human, you are interpreting life experience in an extremely limited way. And when you do that, you become at odds with your broader perspective, with all that is. And when you become at odds with your broader perspective, with all that is, then you create within yourself negative emotion. I was talking about this in a video, I think it was the last Worthiness Wednesday video, where a client had realized that no one can make you feel. So your emotions are telling you a couple of things, but they're never telling you something about what you're experiencing. They're telling you, your emotions are telling you whether or not you are in alignment with you, that is all that is. And when you're feeling negative emotion, you've introduced a discrepancy, a dissonance. And so that negative emotion is telling you something you really want to know. It's an indicator. It's saying to you, hey, do something about you, the way you're seeing the world, because you've disconnected yourself. You've closed off your connection to manifestational power. So the reason you want to be positive about your outlook on life is because when you do, you align yourself with all that is, which is you. Then you are able to more clearly receive these signals that you're sending yourself from non-physical. And when you follow those signals, you line up with the unfolding of all that you want. That is effortlessly unfolding. You become the final cooperative component that is there in time and space, the coordinates of time and space, where the unfolding is occurring so that you can witness and receive the manifestation. This is why being positive is important, because positivity allows you to powerfully manifest, to effortlessly manifest whatever it is that you desire. Now, there's a lot more to it because you're eternal. Because you're eternal, you've had multiple lifetimes in which you've put down resistance on your trail that you're working out. And so things never manifest instantly because, number one, that's not how physical reality works. There's inherent resistance in it. And number two, you're not here for the manifestations anyway. You're here for the movement toward the manifestations because the manifestations moving toward them feel so great. And if you really look at the things that you receive that are physical, after you receive them, the joy of receiving them kind of peters out after a while because it's the movement toward the manifestation that you're wanting. Now, real quickly, I want to talk about toxic positivity and why that is such a disempowering place to perceive. You probably understand this already now that you've heard what you've heard. Toxic positivity is for sure an oxymoron. It's an oxymoron because there's no way that positivity could be toxic. All that is, the being that is all that is perceiving life experience, including your life trajectory, as 100% positive. And when you line up with that perspective, everything that you want, you are able to see is unfolding for you effortlessly. You're also receiving the signals that allow you to line up with the coordinates in time and space where those things are unfolding so that you can be the witness and the receiver of it. How is that toxic? How is getting everything that you want effortlessly toxic? How is being aligned with the pure positive energy that is all that is? How is that toxic? Toxic positivity comes from people who have become chronically aligned with misalignment. And so they're in negative emotion all the time. And so when they hear someone speaking positively, a client was just talking about this week. When they hear someone talking positively, it's so dissonant from the vibrational place they're at in negativity that it gets on their nerves. They can't bear it. So much so that they describe it as toxic, because for them, it is toxic because they're so separated from the pure positive energy that is source, that when they perceive that energy expressed from another individual, it puts them in emotional pain. It almost creates an unconscious blackout in the sense that they cannot compute what the person's saying because it's so dissonant from what they've chronically put themselves into in terms of thought momentum. So, toxic positivity is not a thing, except for those people who believe in it, and those people are suffering. So, why does positivity unlock manifestational power? It unlocks manifestational power because that is the source from which manifestation occurs. If you've listened this far, you know that now. And you also know that there's no reason, none whatsoever, to remain in negative interpretations of things that are going on in your life experience or in the world in general. Happy to entertain any questions you might have. Put them in the comments. And in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video. This was instruction.